everyone, this is Sara and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video is step number 4 in our Fannypacks Are Back crochet along. And of course, like we've already stated, it also makes a great shoulder bag. On step number 1, we did the body of the bag. On step number 2, we did the flap with the curved edge. On step number 3, we put in and made the side panels of our bag. Today, for step number 4, we're going to add the trim and the button loop. And then we're also going to crochet and add the handles to our bag. Now that seems like a lot, but it's really not a whole lot to do. If you're looking for step number 1, you can find that at that link. If you're looking for step number 2, you can find it at that link. And then for step number 3, you can find it at this next link. You can also find the complete pattern with pictures at the pattern link in the notes underneath this video. We're still using our H hook, which is the 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. I'm still using my Karen cakes to finish my project. And remember, you can use any medium number 4 yarn, cotton blend, acrylic, alpaca, wool, whatever you happen to have on hand. And of course, it can be any colors that you want to. We'll need our needle today and our scissors. And today, because we're doing the straps, we're going to need our 1-inch D-rings, and you're going to need 2 of them. That's how we attach the straps together and make it adjustable. All right, let's grab our stuff and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is to add our trim. We're going to put our hook in on the side here and join in our yarn. You can use the same color like I am since I'm using an ombre, or you can change colors here if you want to. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to evenly single crochet up to here, stitching single crochets evenly. And again, when you're working on the sides of rows and you're trying to evenly stitch, you want to make sure you get in those stitches, if at all possible, and not the holes. And again, there's not a set amount of stitches, just so that it looks pretty. They're not too close and not too far apart. It can be a little challenging on a slanted edge, so just take your time and try to make it look as pretty as you can. Now we've done this side and we're getting ready to go across the top. And if you remember, our last row had 14 stitches. So we're going to single crochet in the first 7. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And this should bring us to the center of our flap. Because remember, when we decrease down to 14 stitches. So we single crocheted in the first 7, and we're going to chain 8 to form our button loop. We chained 8. We're going to join right to the next single crochet with a single crochet. No skipping. And then we're going to single crochet in those next 6. And I just want you to see how that looks. We've got our button flap, or our button loop, I should say. And now we're going to single crochet evenly down this side. Trying our best to get into the stitches at the ends of those rows so that it lays nice and pretty. And sometimes you may have to put it in a hole just to make it look neat and have your stitches close enough together. And then once we get down here, we're going to just go right across those stitches on the top of that row there where our side panel is. Then we're going to go straight across the front of our bag, and of course that's where we started, so we have those chain stitches to stitch into, and that makes it nice and easy working across the top. I have finished single crocheting all the way across the front of my bag, and it brings me to the other side here. I'm going to place a single crochet in each of those single crochets or half double crochets on the top here of our panel that's on the side. Alrighty, now I'm going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch. I'm going to chain one and I'm going to turn. And this is because we want to stitch on the outside of the bag, all right? So now I'm going to turn and I'm just going to go in reverse, stitching one single crochet in each single crochet all the way around the bag. So I went across the side panel here, and now I'm going back across the front of my bag. I've single crocheted back across the front of my bag, and now I'm to the other side where my other side panel is, and I'm going to single crochet in each of those single crochets. And this brings me up to the flap. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to single crochet in each of those single crochets until I reach the button loop. I've single crocheted around the edge of my back flap, and that brings me to my button loop. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch 8 single crochets in that loop. 1, here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now our button loop is nice and sturdy, and then we'll go right into that next single crochet and just single crochet our way back around the side of the bag, down here, and join here where we started that second row of single crochets. And this gives a nice sturdy edge to our bag. Also a nice sturdy buttonhole. I've completed that second portion of the single crochets on the flap of my bag. I'm going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch and cut my yarn. All right, so now I'm going to bring that loop to the inside of my bag and tie that off. I'm going to grab that string and bring that to the inside as well. That way I can use my needle and weave both of these in, and they're going to be nice and sturdy. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is make the straps for the bag. Whoops. We're going to make the straps for the bag and add those D-rings. So just take a quick minute and make sure these ends are secure. So there's the trim. There's our button loop. Here's the front. Looks nice and neat now, doesn't it? All right, let's make those straps. You're going to need to make 2 straps. One strap is 35 rows and the other strap is 41 rows. And that's because it needs to be just a little bit longer so we can wrap it over the D-rings and attach it. All right, so we're going to begin with our slip knot. And we're going to chain 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to place a half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then we'll stitch half double crochet in the next 2. There we go. Didn't want to go in there, did it? Chain 1 and turn. 1 half double crochet into 3 half double crochets because our chain 1 will not count as a stitch. Chain 1 and turn. 1 half double crochet into 3 half double crochets. Chain 1 and turn. 1 half double crochet into 3 half double crochets. Chain 1 and turn. Here's our 4th row. Chain 1 and turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So we're going to make 2 straps. We have 5 rows of half double crochet with 3 half double crochets, chain 1 on each row. For the shorter strap, you're going to need to repeat for 30 more rows, so you'll have 35 rows. For the longer strap that we're going to be attaching the D-rings to, you're going to need to repeat for 36 rows so that you'll have a total of 41. All right, so let me repeat that so you understand. We've stitched 5 rows. You need 2 straps. One strap needs to be 35 rows long and the other strap needs to be 41 rows long. So you'll repeat this for 30 more rows for the first strap and repeat this for 36 more rows for the second strap. 1 half double crochet in each of the 3, chain 1 and turn. So I've repeated, so I have 2 straps. This one is 35 rows. This one is 41 rows. As far as measurements, the smaller one measures about 13 inches and the longer one measures about 16 inches. And that can kind of give you an idea how long you want to make your straps. Now, if you're making this a shoulder bag and you don't want to add the D-rings, you can make 1 strap and make it as long as you want. Whether I'm using it as a shoulder bag or a fanny pack, I really like the idea of the D-rings. And so I'm going to show you how to add the D-rings to the longer strap, and then we'll add our straps to our bag. I have tied off the end and left myself a long piece of yarn, and this is the longer of the 2 straps. This one is 41 rows. And I'm going to go ahead and thread that long tail of yarn onto my needle. Now I'm going to take my 2 D-rings and just put my needle through it. We're going to pull the end through and fold it over. And that's why we needed that little extra length, as well as just wanting it to be a little bit longer on our strap. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to sew it on. You have your 2 D-rings. You want your flat section on the bottom. And we're going to sew through the front and the back, attaching that flap. And I like to put a lot of stitches because this is going to get a lot of wear and tear. That's why I left myself a lot of yarn. I want to make sure I go around the edge as well, so that doesn't go anywhere either. And you just put as many stitches in there as you want. And I'm going to turn it over so I can see how it looks on the front. Make sure it doesn't look messy. It looks nice. And so now I'm just going to weave that in. I've already attached the smaller one to my bag, and I weaved in my end. And you attach them both the same way. So what you're going to do on the side here where we added that panel, you're going to cut a large piece of yarn. I'm going to say about 12 or 18 inches because you want to have enough to sew it in place. And then we take the strap, we center it in that side panel, and we just sew it on. And again, I'm going to use a lot of stitches because I want it to stay in place. Making sure I get those edges real good. And basically it's just a bunch of whip stitches going around and around until we're happy that it's going to stay put. All right, I'm going to come back over here, make sure that edge is on there nice, because the edges is where it gets the most wear and tear. And you want this to be more than just a show bag, even though it'd be really pretty to show off. All right, so now I'm going to weave in this end. That out of the way there. And then, of course, I need to weave in this other end. And then I'll show you how to attach your D-rings to your other strap so that it looks really pretty. So we have both of our straps attached. We don't have our button on yet. We're going to do the button on the next video. And so you take your 2 straps, making sure they're not twisted. You put this in through both of those rings, and then you open the rings and pull the tail back through. There we go. And that's how you adjust if you want to carry it as a shoulder bag or a fanny pack. All right, so that was step number 4. And tomorrow we're going to finish up. We're going to make the flower and add the buttons to our bag, and then we'll be all finished and ready to use this adorable bag.